Thank you all very much for the opportunity to come here and share with you a little bit about the State Archives, which I'm going to talk a bit about, and about our collections and where the documents that we're going to talk about today fit into a broader context, but also to hear these amazing scholars bring these documents to life and help us understand the connection between what happens today and what happened 100, 200, 400 years ago. It's a great privilege for me to be able to work with the raw materials of scholarship and learning and law. And I'm very happy to have the opportunity to partner with the Historical Society of the Courts to help bring that great opportunity to you all. The New York State Archives, located in Albany, New York, we have over 250 million documents in our collection. When you put them end to end, that's 26 miles of records. An incredible collection. We collect and preserve the official documentation of New York's colonial and state governments. Colonial governments dating from the Dutch period to the modern day. As Dan mentioned, we have a challenge nowadays with records that are in digital form. We collect those digital materials as well. So among the records that come from the colonial Dutch period, we also have databases or geographic information systems or electronic mail messages. Records and documents continue to be created and continue to be essential for our understanding of our communities, of our states, of our rights and privileges as citizens, regardless of the physical form that those materials come in. The State Archives, as I said, has been pointed out, is in Albany, New York, where it is always sunny and it is always beautiful. This is our building. So it may be raining where you are, but where we are, it is absolutely lovely. We are located on the 11th floor of the Cultural Education Center in downtown Albany, where we maintain a state-of-the-art storage facility where we keep and protect the critical records of New York's state and colonial governments in a special climate-controlled, highly secure environment so that we can ensure that the materials that we collect and preserve continue to be available for scholars in the future. Access to these materials, of course, is available to researchers online through our website, is where every single collection of materials that we have is described at least at a high level. So if you know how to use a library card catalog, you can discover what's in the New York State Archives. For many of our records, we have the ability to give you much more specific information in specific indexes of names or places or dates or events. But to use the materials, you come to the State Archives in our state-of-the-art research room, and you deal with people like my colleague, Dr. Foltz here, who really understand not only the materials that we make available, but also their context, and help you as scholars, as researchers, as those interested in the work that the government has done for the past 400 plus years here in New York, help you draw and make the appropriate connections to be able to add to the body of scholarship and knowledge. Among the records in the State Archives, and one of the things I think is interesting about the title of this program is it's called Great Documents. From our perspective, all documents are great. Every document tells a story, regardless of whether or not it's something as simple as the pay slip for a day laborer on the Erie Canal, or something like the New York State Constitution from 1777. There's a couple of pages from that document, the actual document that was used by the delegates in Kingston and getting it themselves out of town before the British burnt Kingston a few months later. These documents, all taken as a whole, help us tell the story and help us understand why we do the things we do and what they're all about. Some of the documents that we preserve and collect, you're going to hear about one famous document from the Dutch colonial period, the Flushing Remonstrance, in a little bit. But we have an enormous collection, 13,000 records from the administration of the New Netherland colony by the Dutch West India Company. All of those materials, including this one, which is a document signed by Peter Stuyvesant, have been digitized, and where there is an English language translation available, that translation has been connected to those materials. All of those are available on our website. So we're very fortunate to have this enormous corpus of materials from a very ancient time available for scholars to research and use and learn. And again, all documents are important. All the other 2,999 Dutch colonial materials in addition to the Flushing Remonstrance. New York was a leader and has been a leader in huge public works projects, in many other incredibly important government-sponsored and government-run enterprises. These are workers helping build the Barge Canal, the modern Erie Canal that still continues to serve this state, the companies, and the rest of the country by transporting goods and people and services. Of course, we have an enormous collection of documents and materials related to the construction administration of the original Erie Canal, which started construction in 1817. We're celebrating the bicentennial of that. The canal enlargement in the 1850s, and of course, the Barge Canal. A lot of those documents tell the story not just of the great success, but also the challenge of getting these successes to happen. There was a lot of movement to stop the construction of the Erie Canal. All documents are important, telling both sides of the story. And then I'm going to wrap up by talking very briefly about this great collection of court materials that we brought up from 31 Chambers Street, from the former state-of-the-art Hall of Records that was constructed in around the turn of the 19th century. We brought up over 2,000 containers of incredibly critical documents. Jen is going to talk a bit about them, from the 1690s to 1847. These materials, these court records, connect to and complement over 5,000 boxes of materials from statewide courts that we acquired in the early 1980s. Now, for the first time ever, I shouldn't say for the first time ever, for the first time since the 1790s, all of New York's statewide, so for most of us that's ever, right? All of those critical materials, those statewide court records, are unified in one state-of-the-art repository where they are available now. There are researchers doing research in these records right now.